Hey guys, Kevin here. Well, happy holidays. Today is December 19th, 2016, and I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes taking you outside, and since it's a sunny day here in central New York, now our home here, demonstration site, is in central New York. We're about 8 miles from Lake Ontario, just north of Syracuse, New York, and so we have the Great Lakes effect all the time, all winter long, where we get almost continuous overcast and lots of snow. We've been blessed today, December 19th, and we've got some sunshine occurring today. So why is this day so important? Ideally, I'd be doing this on the winter solstice, but I have no idea whether the winds are going to be whipping or it's going to be really dark. So today's a day for me to go ahead and take pictures around the property for examining solar exposure to areas like my home behind us there. That house is a salt box construction, passive solar home, and no, there's no photovoltaic panels on the roof, and you're looking at the south facing roof over there. I'm going to step out of the shadows. I did things this way so that I could actually see the little screen. But something to notice back there is the second floor windows. And there's a 2-foot overhang on the roof, and that 2-foot overhang works out very well in the summertime because that shadow, instead of being right there at the top of the second floor windows, is right down here about where those lights are. So we get lots of beneficial shading during the hot summer months on the southern face of this passive solar home. And there's also, let me see, can I make that show up? A large maple tree right here that provides significant shade most of the day for the rest of the house, so it stays cool. That would interfere with gathering solar energy, photons from the sun, that if they were placed on this roof. So we passively cool the house by the overhang and by appropriate trees or other buildings during the summer months. But we can gain full heating capacity and heat our thermal mass that's inside of the house by having the second floor windows uncovered, not in shade by the roof overhang during the winter months. So something else that's kind of important when if we're growing food during those winter months, it's pretty important to around this time of year get outside, take some pictures, even if you can barely stand it. Take some pictures of areas that you think might be potential growing spaces if you're going to expand your summer and winter growing time. So let me see if I can get this. So behind me there is the chicken coop and work area that's going to ultimately be attached to the greenhouse that's going up on that side. I just haven't gotten to that yet. But you see that although that's not a very tall wall, it casts one heck of a shadow. Let me see, can I? The shadow of the building behind me, and this again is December 19th, 2016. So we're just 2 days shy of the winter solstice, where the sun is the lowest in the horizon. And we're examining at about noontime, and it's just about 15 or 20 minutes before noon now, trying to see just where the shadows extend upon for assessing where the growing beds can actually be to maximize solar gain during the winter months. Now again, we're in the central New York area where we're plagued with overcast, cloudy skies and minimal sun penetrance for about a three month period, maybe even 4 months during the winter months. And so when we're looking at our shadow, and you can go online and see calculating the shadow length. So in this area here, we're about 43 degrees north, and you put in your latitude and longitude, and you can see on different dates where, you know, the length of your shadow. So a 10-foot wall or a 10-foot fence or a 10-foot tree would cast a 25-foot shadow from the base of that object that you're measuring. So that's what we want to look at when we look over here. Let's do that again. We look at the distance between the fence there and the shadow that's cast. So when I'm over and I stand in that shadow, and I won't do that because I don't know how that would show up on the screen. And I bring the shadow to about my knee height. So let me see if I can turn this down. So there's my shadow down there. So if I bring my shadow down to about where my knees are over there, what I can do is see about the extent that the snow, a knee-high wall that I could put over there. So I'm going to walk over into that area and show you about where I'm talking about. One moment. So as you can see on the shadow on the ground, the sun is hitting right about where my knees are, and as a result we can calculate the distance from where I am from the fence. And of course the structure, either whether it's going to be hoop or slanted structure, then the snow is going to come off of that, and you really have to look at how much snow accumulation you get at a time. So it's not uncommon for us to get a 2-foot fall for each day for a few days in a row in this part of the country. And you have to worry about the structural integrity of the structure. So a Gothic type structure would be much better. We have more of a pitch, and therefore the snow is more likely to come off. Or like I with basically a roof shovel, which is really a roof rake, and you just pull hopefully the wind isn't too bad now, pull that snow off the side, but it accumulates on the side of the structure, and that's going to obscure some of the sun, the solar gain to those beds on this side. So that's something you have to take into account. Another component of sector analysis when we look at solar aspect and other factors, whether it's, you know, the winds, like our winds come out of the west and north during the winter months, and the direction behind me there is to our west. And so how much of a windbreak do you have over there? So we'll go over there and have a look, see. Actually, I'll walk over in this direction. So right there is my 6-foot fence, and you can see I'm building this up. It'll be about a foot higher than what I'm standing right now, the actual ground level. And my neighbor has gone ahead and built up the stone wall, getting his cattle fenced in next door here. We can see there's a wide open range all over to our side over there, and there's a significant drop in elevation. So we have a 25-foot drop over there, another 6-foot drop right here. And that really allows the winds to really come whipping through here, so we get really high gale force winds that come across in this part of the part of the property. So that's something to take into account, those high winds. And so once we take into account the high winds, other ramifications of those high winds are the drifting, since we get snow accumulation. So with a long structure like this, there'll be spots during high wind times where it's basically right down to ground level because of the high wind just whips around there. But around the north and east ends, there will be tremendous drifts. So that's something to be concerned about as well. So at different times when you have different storms, go out and take pictures, see where the drifts are. If you have to put a temporary little structure up, whether it's something made out of pallets, you can see how the drifts form. Just something to do, but the main focus of this little video was to encourage people to get out at different times of the year after different events, and this is a significant event, the winter solstice, and see just where the shadows are going to be, if you're going to have growing beds or you're going to try to utilize that solar energy. During the winter months, there's no leaves on the deciduous trees, and I think that's probably showing up behind us. And that can be very advantageous for getting solar gain, and then cooling during the summer months when the deciduous trees leaf out as well. So I hope this has been somewhat helpful, or interesting at least. And sorry about the battery dying, and hopefully this splices together and the wind sounds aren't too bad. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day, folks. Bye bye now.